Hey, good morning. It's Marsha B here, another edition of Diaries of a Black Mum. Um, this is my second week doing this, and I did say in the description that this is not going to be in chronological order. My first entry last week was quite intense, a lot of information compacted into one very small video, and over the weekend it's given me time to reflect and actually look back. This is not just something I've experienced at the weekend, but throughout the last, say, 2 years, I've recognised throughout my children's childhood there was signals that I was seeing as a mum, and was doing my best to work out, why have my children's behaviours changed. And it's quite sad because some of the signals that they had, I then look at my own childhood. And so, for example, my four girls I shared last week, they have gone through, unfortunately, being molested, a form of sexual abuse. And it's around the time where their dad died. So initially, as a mum, I thought, oh, this is how they're grieving. They're grieving, and their behaviour, one of my children was very angry. And at one point I laughed. I thought, oh my God, is it because she started her periods and she's just going through really bad PMT and she's just constantly angry? So that was one signal, because I thought it was grieving. There was outbursts of anger and shouting. I thought, is this a sign of grief? Not realizing it's a sign of her being abused. Another child was bedwetting. And I remember even taking her to doctors quite a number of times, and the doctor talking to me saying, she's not allowed to have red-based drinks like blackcurrant drinks because the drink is triggering off her bladder and it's irritating her bladder. And we went down the route, of so many different things food-wise to support her, not realising there's actually another reason why she's wetting the bed. Another child was... And it's difficult, right? It's so difficult because when you're seeing your child go from toddler, baby years, toddler, little child, growing into teenager, adolescence, you would put it down to, oh, a child who stays in her bedroom doesn't want to be bothered. Oh, that's just a typical teenager, okay? But actually, it's not typical of a teenager to stay in their room all the time, not want to associate themselves with anyone downstairs in the house. They just want to be upstairs all the time. So that was another signal. That was another sign. Another child, bless her heart. I remember one of my girls being, when she was about six or seven, she wasn't a plump child. And again, our children can go through phases. They can have growth spurts. So sometimes if they do gain a bit of weight, a lot of you've heard the words before, oh, it's puppy fat. And then I started to think, I remember comments from family members when they'd say to my child, oh, you're getting fat, you need to stop eating. And I'm thinking, hold on. And I remember having these conversations thinking, it's not right to say this to your child, or it's not right to say it to any child. But then I started to think, why is this child eating so much? They're eating more food to comfort themselves, or they're eating more food because they want to, do they want to make themselves look more uglier so that the person doesn't actually, do what they're doing to that child? These are signs. It's painful. When I talk this out into this video, I'm sitting here like, oh my goodness, there's a lot of things to digest. There's a lot of things to actually unravel. And if you're a parent out there, whether you're a father or a mother, if you see your child's behaviour change, always question it, but don't bombard the child. Take your time with them. I remember one of my children, I'm quite a loving mum. I love giving my children hugs. I'm a hugger. I hug everyone. If I meet people, hi, I give them a hug. And you would assume when you've had your own baby, the first thing they say to you when you've had that baby, that newborn, skin to skin contact. So you've just given birth and the midwife or the doctor will put the baby onto your chest to let them know this is mum. And then the dad would get the same experience. They would cradle the baby on the dad's chest and you just have time and stuff. So you would assume that your child, because you've had that first-hand experience, that the child is used to being next to you. Not, doesn't have to be skin to skin, but, you know, just showing affection, hugs, little kisses on the cheek. My son, bless him, he is such a lovable boy, and he'll always go, "Mum, give me a kiss." Never on the lips, he says to me, never on the lips, Mum. But he'll kiss me on my cheek or kiss me on my jaw. Or he'll do a really funny thing. He'll say, "Mum, I like to rub noses. Mum, rub noses with me." So you would think, when you've got that affection with your babies, your children, you'd grow up and continue doing that. And I noticed with this one particular daughter of mine, I'd go and give her a hug and she'd, "Don't touch me." And I think, oh God, what's wrong with her? And I know, again, it was around the same time they've started, you know, cycles have started. So I just thought, okay, maybe you just, you know, you've started your cycle now, so you're too grown, you're too big now to even give mummy a hug. But I now recognise that was actually a signal, or some people say red flag. That was actually a sign, but I didn't actually notice. I wasn't paying attention. And people might look at this video and go, "Oh my God, you know, she's the worst mum on earth. How does she not know all of these things were happening?" Well, if you've listened to the first video, you know, I had lost my husband. I had shared, he passed away of cancer. So I had 4 children and I'm a hardworking mum. Don't have to justify myself to anyone, but this is my entry. This is my diary. And I have shared, I want my children to look back on this and go through my videos and actually understand, because some of these things I've probably not been able to share with my children. Some of them don't even, you know, all the things that we've gone through as a family, I've just got on with it. I've just got on with it. But now is the time for me to share this, because parents need to, new parents as well. I've got so many friends over here now in London that they've just had babies, and, you know, they say, "How do you do it?" I met an amazing fashion editor last week, and she has got a new baby. I think the baby's like maybe 9 or 10 months old. And it's funny because we was eating lunch on the table, and every woman went round the table and said, you know, their name, and then, "Oh, how many children do you have?" So the lady next to me, "Oh, I've just had a baby." Not just had a baby, but the baby's 9 months old. And I was like, "Oh, you're a new mum, congratulations." And they looked at me and said, "Oh, how many do you have?" And I was like, "I have 6." And the table was kind of like, wow, she has 6 children. How does she do this? There's no manual, is there? There's no manual to be a parent. There's no manual to be a mum or a dad. You learn from what you've been taught from your parents, and then you do your best to hand it down. But now what I've recognised is not everything that I've been taught as in my childhood, I've looked now as an adult and thought, not necessarily agreeing with all the ways of parenting. So I'm now having to unlearn a lot of things. And one of the key things that I know now, in the Caribbean culture, you would hear the saying, "Children should be seen and not heard." I totally disagree with that. I am not in agreement with that phrase. I throw that phrase out of the window of my car and send it back to the pits of hell, because children should be seen and children should be heard. And this is why many children and teenagers that go through, whether it's domestic abuse, domestic violence, sexual abuse, whatever it is, a lot of children have not had the courage to speak up about their horrid experiences because of that phrase, "Children should be seen and not heard." I don't know who brought that foolishness up, but I am an advocate. I'm an advocate for children, because I have 6 myself. I really want to help as many children out there. Not going to say, "Oh yeah, Marsha's now going to be working in Parliament and changing things," but I just want to impact from doing these entries. And I hope that people who watch these really appreciate what I'm doing. It's not about, oh, you watching and saying, oh, I want loads of information about this sexual stuff that's happened. It's not about that. It's part of my children's childhood. Unfortunately, their childhood should have been easygoing. Their childhood should have been having their granddad to a long, healthy life and their father for a long time. Unfortunately, life happens. But I realise my children, my girls, are very resilient, and I think we need to stop underestimating the new generation of children that are here on the earth right now. These children that are coming up and coming, they're very smart, they're very intelligent. But I just want to say, I want children to be taken seriously. I know they're small. Sometimes they're unable to articulate what they're experiencing. I even just had a flashback of another signal. It wasn't my child itself, but there was a child that I know. And that child, they clearly was going through something, because I remember getting a phone call to pick up this child because they'd literally mashed down like part of a section of the school. So when we think our children are behaving badly, take a stop for a minute and actually don't respond with anger and you're a naughty child and you're this, that, and the other. Actually just pause and think about, what is this little human going through to react in this manner? For every action, there's a reaction. That's what I've been taught in my whole life, right? I've learnt that throughout the years. For every action, there's a reaction. A little human being, a child of 4, 5, 6, 7 and upwards, will not just go into a school and start mashing up things just for the sake of it. A young child will not, who's used to normally getting hugs and kisses on the cheek or on the forehead, will not then just turn around just for the sake of it. Don't touch me. For every action, there's a reaction. Take a stop and look at your child or children's behaviours. If you've known your child to be this sweet, soft child from when they were a baby, and they've been brought up in a very loving, soft environment, caring environment, compassionate environment, and all of a sudden, you know, you might have a lodger, and all of a sudden your children are acting funny. Check the signs, people. Check the signs. I don't want people to go, oh my God, all the time she comes on here and she does these videos and all, she just doesn't stop talking about abuse. But it's happening. It's happening, and people are, like I said last week, brushing it under the carpet. They're brushing it under the carpet, and they're giving you these phrases of, oh, don't worry, just stop it. Just stop it and actually pay attention. We need love. Everyone needs love. Everyone needs love. My book this morning finished perfectly. It was just talking about the prayer of love. And I was like, yeah. I love myself enough to do these entries. I love my children enough to show them. As a mum, I will stand and support them. I will stand by them and will help them get through this process. Get through this process of healing, learning, growing, and loving. This is Marsha B. My entry for my diary of a black mum. I'm really hoping that you're enjoying these as much as I'm enjoying just sharing about my life. Send a comment, like it if you want. If you don't like it, also send me a comment. You can always DM me if you don't want to put a comment in the comment box. And also kindly subscribe to my channel and share this video with those who you think will benefit from hearing Marsha's Diary of a Black Mum. I'll be back again tomorrow.